Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. And I hear, I bet you can't identify the rhythm. Hey, rhythm easy to identify because that's what we're talking about this morning. We're talking about the amazing, wonderful, warm, nice, gooey, ooey, juicy, lovely vagina this morning. Yes. We're going all the way up in the vagina this morning, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We're going to be talking about some myths, some misunderstandings that we have as it relates to vaginas, because some of us have some very big misunderstandings when it comes to vaginas, because first of all, the entire thing is not a vagina. So that's the first thing. This is Everyday Period. I am Shelly-Ann Weeks, author, activist, sex educator, and many other things. This morning we are inviting to talk to us our guest, Dr. Kim Goodall. We're going to be getting into some details, and it's just really amazing how little we are really taught about the vagina. I mean, a lot of us came to the world through a vagina. Well, most of us anyway. I mean, C-sections have gotten more popular now, but we are products of the amazing vagina. So that's what we're talking about this morning, and you can definitely participate, and you can definitely leave your comments and ask your questions. There are a lot of things that we're going to be covering. We're going to be talking about tightness. We're going to be talking about odor. We're going to be talking about the different discharge, what the discharge tell you. We're going to be talking about hygiene and care. We're going to bust up some myths too, because there are some things about our vagina that confuses some of us and makes some of us very nervous and makes some of us feel a little shy. So we're going to get into all of that this morning. So, big up the Punani rhythm. Love Punani bad. And we're going to talk about some of the cultural influences that makes us think some of the things that we think about vaginas. But before we get into all of that, we have to take this opportunity to say definitely thank you and big ups to our sponsors, our partners in giving you this everyday period every week. Lasco Curves and Sarweeks Publishing, and we want to just ensure that you remember that when it comes to our bodies, it is important that we are a little bit more patient with ourselves and each other, because we tend to be very hard on ourselves as women when it comes to our bodies, and we think that we have to do all of these whole heap of extra things, especially when it comes to our nether regions. And I really want us to get out of this how important it is for us to just really embrace all of this glory that we in. I mean, if you happen to be an owner of a vagina, congratulations. It's marvelous, isn't it? So, before we get into it all, I like to start with anatomy. Now you see my little picture here. I hope everybody can see the picture. Yeah, make I put it up little because I want to see it good. I hope everybody can see it, because the first thing we want to do is to talk about the fact that all of this is not a vagina. Now, I know that we refer to everything as a vagina, but it's all not a vagina. So let us go about the parts. First of all, start with this is the inner thigh right here. And then we have the outer lips, aka labia. So when you stand up and you look at yourself in front of the mirror, this is the part here, so that kind of look like a W. This is the outer lips, the labia, right? And then you have the inner lips, which are, so this is the labia majora, or the larger lips. And this is the labia minora, which is the inner lips. Now, believe it or not, ladies, we have 3 holes. We have the anus, which is right here. You have the urethra, which is right here, in between the clitoris. and then we have the vagina. Now the vagina is what we're focusing our conversation on this morning, but I really wanted to make sure that we understand the different parts, because a lot of us refer to the entire thing as the vagina. And you know, I cannot do this without talking about my favorite part of the anatomy here, which is the clitoris. Oh gosh, if you are in the possession of a clitoris, congratulations. If you haven't actually met it, introduce yourself. Get yourself a mirror and peel back the clitoral hood, which is this little piece of skin here. Some of our clitorises are not exposed. Some of us have to be aroused to actually see the clitoris, because when it becomes aroused, it becomes engorged. So if it is not aroused, some of us really can't see it, but that's okay, we can arouse it. Just peel back the hood and touch it. Oh, it is marvelous when you touch the clitoris. It's a good time. And for those who don't know, this part of the clitoris is just the outside. The entire clitoris extends right through the pelvis. And whenever it becomes aroused, and what I love about this organ is that it is one of the organs that is responsible for so much pleasure. And ladies, get to know your clitoris. Gentlemen, get to know a clitoris. Introduce yourself to one. It's an amazing place, and you should definitely get to know one. So that is the external reproductive area. And this is where we're going to focus most of our attention this morning, on the vagina, okay? This is where a lot of us came through. We stretch out our mother vagina so that our big head could come through. But that's the amazing thing about the vagina. It can stretch large enough to fit a big head for it to come to life. And it can shrink small enough to make people lose their mind. So the vagina is amazing. All right. So like I told you, we're going to be inviting our guest, Kim Goodall, Dr. Kim Goodall. She's a medical doctor. She's actually she's in the gynecology program, and she's an OBGYN, and she's actually my little cousin. I'm quite proud of her. She's awesome. And it is so interesting how little, I should say, we know about the vagina, how little we understand about the body. And you know, this is why we want to take this opportunity to just get into it and to talk about the different things. Now we're going to bust some myths, like I said before, and I'm going to go over just some information and some facts about the vagina that I want y'all to know. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do to get the best out of our vagina. We're going to talk about how we take care of our vagina, and we're going to talk about how we monitor things, because the vagina is a very independent organ, you know. She takes care of herself, she does what she needs to do, but a lot of us go in there, go fast with it, and because of that, we end up with a lot of different challenges. So we don't want to put ourselves in that position anymore. So we want to ensure that we know exactly how we take care of our vajayjay. Oh, there goes Kim. Kim sent the request, and we are going to get into it. Now, myth number 1. Look here, ladies. Before Kim come on, I have to address it because it's scratching my skin. There are some things in our culture that we do when we talk about the vagina, and the first thing that we names, we call it fishy. Look here, if your vagina fishy, something wrong. That's the first thing. Good morning, Miss Kim.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. I am so good.
That's good. That's good.
I love the hair.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so I was talking about this fishy smell that people always love to talk about. Matter of fact, they just go straight out and call it fishy. I would just like us to just throw that out the door immediately, because this fishy business, look here, if your vagina is fishy, that is fishy.
Precisely. It's not supposed to have a fishy smell to it. That's all. And it's really the ammonia smell that people are referring to that smells a bit like fish. But if your vagina smells fishy, then there's some investigation is needed. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about before we get into the meat of the matter, we're talking about the cultural influences and how the culture talks about fish. And I was playing the Punani rhythm earlier when I just started. And in the song, it talk about the ranking. You see that little piece of ranking me? Look here, sir.
It's not.
If you buck up on somebody with a ranking vagina, she has an incontinence problem.
Oh God. Oh, it's true though. Like it's not supposed to be that way. So if that is a thing that's happening, further investigation is definitely needed. That's not the norm. That's a big myth. And we're going to debunk that for sure today.
Good. All right. So since we're here, people, if you're just joining us, this is Dr. Kim Goodall, and we're talking all about the vagina this morning. I started earlier by going through the anatomy. Let me just show it again because I like my little my diagrams.
Okay, right? Great.
Show it again because we have to ensure that we recognize that all of this is not a vagina.
Yes.
This is the only part that's a vagina. The vagina is one of the holes.
Yes.
Okay? Good. So we just want to be clear about that. So let's talk right to the odor question. What does a healthy...
Before we even dive in.
Yes.
This part right here is the vagina.
Awesome.
That's the cervix. That's the vagina. And this is the hole that you just saw. This is the vagina. Just this part alone.
Love. So let's start with odor. What does a healthy vagina smell like?
Well, first things first, every vagina has its specific scent. Shouldn't say smell, I say scent. So what does it smell like? It depends on the woman, right? It's never supposed to be a foul smelling odor. Naturally, the vagina doesn't have a foul smell. It has a scent in keeping with what your body smells like. You know, everybody's body have a smell, right? So it's really just a strengthened smell of your body. What it's not supposed to smell like is something that is unpleasant, right? And I really wants to touch on, I guess we just dive into it in terms of what is in the vagina and what can affect the smell of the vagina. So inside the vagina, you normally have yeast cells, right? Which is a type of fungus normally. And you have that type of cell on your skin, on your mouth, and not just women, men as well, on their skin, in your mouth. It's something that is normally found in the body, right? Now, in addition to that yeast, you also have bacteria. But people think bacteria is this awful thing. Bacteria was created. The purpose of bacteria is not only to infect things, which is a side effect, but there's a lot of good bacteria, especially the one inside the mouth, in the gut, and notably in the vagina, right? And that bacteria is the one that actually keeps the smell right. So people say, my vagina don't have no bacteria. Well, if your vagina don't have any bacteria at all, then something is very much so wrong, and you likely will have some type of smell. Yeah. Every vagina has bacteria in there, and the bacteria that I'm talking about is called lactobacillus bacteria. Now, this girl, she come in like a big savior. Like she's a girl. I don't care what anybody says. She's a girl, and she's very powerful, and she keeps the vagina in check. Like anything go wrong, she's just like, okay, let me fix it. Now, when that good bacteria levels fall down, other things that are in the vagina or even get exposed to the vagina from other things that we do, which we'll talk about later, then bacteria that is not good overgrows, and then you get a smell. If you have a smell, it's usually because of a bacteria or some type of organism that is affecting the inside and a normal part of the vagina.
Something that's not supposed to be there.
Something that's not supposed to be there.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that are not supposed to be in there. A lot of things.
Speaking of which, let us talk about, since we're on odor, there's a whole industry designed to make products to keep the vagina clean. There's a whole, if you're going to a lot of major pharmacies, you can find an entire aisle of products
and the peaches
that are available. Yes, to make your vagina smell like flowers and candy and fruit, and make you smell fresh and just get the urge to run through fields of flowers for some reason. I don't know what those commercials are about, but but there's a whole industry around vaginal care and vaginal cleanliness. Let's talk about some of those products and how they can actually do more harm than good. Because, like, the way I look at vaginal hygiene, I remember talking about actually the vagina itself. I think that a healthy vagina should be left alone. I don't think you need to squirt anything, rub anything, sprinkle anything. You don't need any sparkles. You
Yes,
know,
it's not the case.
it's awesome. She takes care of business. So
Independent woman.
good.
Yes.
So that is my general attitude when it comes to the vagina. But there are a whole heap of products available on the market that telling you that you need to use this to smell fresh, and you need to use this to reduce the bacteria, and you need to use this to do a whole heap of things. So what are your thoughts on those products?
Well, truthfully, I feel like I completely agree with you. The vagina is a very independent woman. The bacteria inside, the good bacteria inside the vagina sorts out everything. A lot of the time, what you really need is water, because the vagina is dehydrated. Just like how when your mouth get dehydrated and your mouth doesn't smell so fresh because you need some water or some food, that also happens to the vagina. So a lot of the times, the vagina is letting you know something is off. I need you to change your diet. I need you to intake water or whatever it may be. In terms of the products, they specify that it balances the pH. And what I must say is the pH balance is the most important thing about the vagina. There's a pH, which means there's an acidity level that is actually in keeping with a pineapple. This acidity level is what keeps the vagina in check. Now, when you use soapy products or scented products or perfumes or anything that is not natural or that is not supposed to be in the vagina, you can throw off that pH. And when the pH is thrown off, everything just goes straight through the door, right? So I don't agree with utilizing vaginal washes on the inside of the vagina. Nothing goes on the inside. No fingers go on the inside, no rag, no soap, nothing.
Oh, that's rag thing.
At all goes inside, ever, in terms of when you're cleaning it, right? So in terms of those products, stay away from them. Before you go that route of scented products on the inside of the vagina, I say change your diet. And if it's something that has a discharge or something completely abnormal, I would suggest you go see a doctor.
Awesomeness. And I'm glad you brought up food, because that's going to bring me to my next question. There's this whole conversation around if you eat this or if you eat that, or you specifically pineapple. If you eat pineapple, your vagina is going to taste like pineapple. For all of my friends, my colleagues who indulge in oral stimulation, good morning to all of you. So, you know, you want the vagina to have a specific flavor. So they talk about, so I'm going to eat a bunch of pineapples so I can taste like pineapples later. Now, my understanding is that when you eat healthy, your body responds good to good food. And your body responds, and the reverse is also true. So if you eat healthy and you hydrate and all of that, you'll definitely feel the difference in how your vagina responds and how it acts. I mean, I personally can attest to that, because before I changed my relationship with food, almost every month I would have a yeast infection. And I kid you not, I've not had a yeast infection in 5 years. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I want to talk about this whole idea of eating things so your vagina can have that flavor. Thoughts?
Okay, thoughts. Well, first thing first, I'm just going to insert a little self-promo on my YouTube channel. There are quite a few...
Go right ahead.
Okay, right ahead. Step through. Hello, I have a YouTube channel. And on that channel, we talk a lot about exactly what you were just asking about: yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, what to eat, and if you eat things, if it affects your vaginal discharge and the smell and the taste and whatever else it may be. So now that I got that out the way, let's talk about what you just said. Yes, there's this saying that you are what you eat, right? Now, the whole myth of the pineapple, I'm really sorry to say, it is a myth. If you eat more pineapples, you're actually increasing the risk of throwing off the pH balance. When I say more, I mean a lot more. Everything must be done in a balance. Too much of anything can be bad for you. And there's this thing called sugar in fruit. And sugar is the superfood for yeast. Okay?
Yes, yeast love some sugar.
Right. So you really need to be careful in terms of what you intake overall for your overall health. And that includes the health of the vagina overall, the smell, and anything else that has to do with the vagina. So if you eat a lot of fruits, or too much fruit, you can actually throw off the balance, the pH balance that we're just talking about. Now, if you eat healthy, change your diet, and you're absolutely right. If you change your diet and you flush your body regularly, not only will you have less issues with the vagina, but less issues, period. Your skin will start glowing, you know,
Yes,
your
ma'am.
digestive tract, yes,
Yes.
your digestive tract,
Yes.
your digestive tract will definitely work better. Your eyesight,
Yes.
everything will just be a lot better overall. So general rule of thumb, eat healthy and you will be healthy.
And be hydrated.
And definitely be hydrated. That's like very
Okay.
important.
So somebody asked a question on the live, and for the purpose of this question, I'm going to bring back my diagram. Now the question is, can I use non-scented or non-alcoholic wipes on my vagina instead of tissue? Now remember, we said all of this is not the vagina. But if you're going to use a wipe, yes, I would recommend that you use something non-scented and without alcohol to wipe the external, because you can clean the external part of your reproductive system, right? Because the labia needs to clean, and even the clitoris, wipe it down, you know? All of the places can be clean. And remember, the urethra is right here, and we urinate through our urethra, so we definitely need to clean all of this. What we don't need you to do is to insert anything. Come, show me your 3D money. The 3D money. So don't insert anything to the inside of the vagina.
Anything on the inside.
Okay, but outside can be cleaned. All right?
Yes.
Awesome. So, can we move on?
Yes, we can move on.
Discharge. Now we talk about the independence of the vagina and how she takes care of herself and all of that. And as a part of how she takes care of herself, she gives us different clues and inklings, and discharge is one of them. The color of your discharge can tell you something. The smell of the discharge can tell us some things. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me how the vagina functions and what the discharges can mean.
Okay. All right. So before I get into that, I see a question, just since we're going to leave that topic.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
What wipes do I recommend? Baby wipes really are great because they're sensitive. Your vagina is like a baby. So baby products are actually great things to use to wipe around the vagina, especially when the time of your menstruation and you want to feel a little bit more fresh. Baby wipes. What brand? Just get a pair of baby wipes.
Unscented.
Unscented baby wipes. And in terms of the soap, same thing. Unscented soaps with no alcohol, nothing that will throw, no strong scents or products that will throw off the pH of the vagina. Now, in terms of discharge, I always get the question with my patients, is discharge normal? Like, I have this discharge and something must be wrong. Yes. Discharge is very much so normal. In fact, that is a sign that your vagina is working properly.
Correct.
The vagina cleans itself. It flushes itself out, right? Whatever's in there that don't belong in there have to come out some way, right? And how is it coming out? Through discharge. Now, there's normal discharge and not so normal discharge. Now, the normal discharge is usually an off-whitish, thinnish discharge with minimal scent in keeping with how you normally smell, right? And that's just in a nutshell what it is. As I said before, y'all, I have a whole YouTube video on this, so you can just check that out. But to quickly touch on it, abnormal discharges, there's a list of abnormal discharges, but what I'll do is talk about the most common ones that are abnormal. Right, the first one we can talk about is the yeast infection. Well, you know what, I'll talk about the most common. The most common is actually not yeast infection, it's a bacterial vaginosis. And bacterial vaginosis is a condition that, the fishy odor we were talking about earlier? Yes. Usually that's the cause of the fishy odor, right? So that is not something that is normal. And what happens is that bacteria, the good bacteria that we were just talking about, those levels go down because of different things that can affect it. And then bad bacteria now overgrows and just takes over the vagina. Now this discharge is itchy. It is thin like normal. However, instead of being off-white, it usually has a grayish or yellowish color. So any color that is not white or red, which is your menstruation, or brown when the menstruation is ending, colors like yellow, green, dark gray, clump, those things are not normal, right? So in the case of bacterial vaginosis, which we just quickly spoke about, those are the things you'll see. And the reason is because the bacteria, normal bacteria, is just thrown off and the pH level is thrown off. Now, yeast infection, this discharge is itchy. Now, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of the itch you cannot scratch. That
gosh.
is so tormenting, and it's so unfortunate because a lot of women don't know that this is something that 70% of women experience. It is something that's so common and nothing to be ashamed of. And that is because yeast loves dark,
warm spaces.
Warm spaces. And let me tell you something about the vagina. That is the environment.
That's what it is.
Created. That's what it's supposed to be. So what happens with that discharge, it can be very thick, very itchy. And if you see that, you know that, okay, something's not right. Because discharge is not normally itchy and not normally very thick and clumpy, right? So those are some examples of abnormal discharges. And as I said, if it's itchy, if it has a foul smell or abnormal smell or strong smell, and also if it has a color that's not off-white in that range other than blood, then you know something is not right.
Okay, so somebody asked a question earlier about my thoughts on tampons. All right, so tampons are fine. The challenge is how long you wear the tampon for. I do not recommend that you wear a tampon for more than 3 hours at a time. And I know on the package it will say longer than that, but we have to factor in the point that a lot of these products are made for a European market, and in a European market it is cooler, and we have to deal with sweat, and we have a warm climate, which means that the bacteria grows a lot faster in our temperature. So when you wear a tampon for an extended period of time, what happens is the blood that is inside of the tampon has bacteria in it that's dying or that starts to die. And you don't want that to stay for an extended period of time, because then that can start to create an environment where you can become infected. Now, one of the things that I don't recommend at all is for you to sleep in a tampon. I know a lot of people do it. Do not sleep in your tampon.
My
okay?
Chest. Please don't. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Right? Yes, do not sleep in your tampon. So, whenever you wear your tampon, you want to remove it at least every 3 hours. And if you can't get to remove it every 3 hours, please have another option. Because the bacteria build up, and that is why some of us have continuous challenges, because this excess bacteria, it throws off the environment that the vagina needs to stay healthy. And that's why we end up with infections even after our period is ended. Slightly yellow discharge. Somebody asking a question about slightly yellow discharge.
Yeah. Okay, so slightly yellow discharge by itself, in order to know if it's normal or not, I would need a full history. So
you need more information.
That's why it's important to have a relationship with a gynecologist or even a general practitioner, because there's so many things. There could be a family history. It could be like that from the beginning. There's a lot of factors that can affect the discharge, you know, if it's normal for you or not. Can. So, and
you have to also think about the underwear that you wear, because that can also help to create an unhealthy environment for the vagina as well. So you have to think about that when you're purchasing underwear, in terms of the type of material that it is. And some of us, like me now, I just moist all. I mean, say moist. We moist all the time. So I try to get something. Well, when I do wear underwear, to get something that can work with, that can provide some breathability.
Yes.
Because of the continuous moistment.
Right. And you said a really important thing in terms of the underwear. Your underwear is so important. It must, one, be your size. Well, ladies, wear your size.
Yes.
Wear your size, number one. Number two, breathable fabric. Cotton is just the best. Like, just wear cotton. Nobody with the silk and the fanciness for a long period of time, right?
No, some nice, man. But yeah,
but I said for a long period of time. So if you're going to work for 12 hours, put on a cotton pants.
Yes.
Like, for the sake of your girl, like for the vagina, think about her. She wants to breathe, and also
she needs to be able to breathe.
Yeah, she's very serious now. She's very serious. She don't like the tight up things. Imagine you. Do you like to sit in a bus, squeeze up all day? No, you do not. You want to feel air And she does too. So it's really
Yes,
important. Even the clothes you wear, think about those
quite
things.
so. I think it is so interesting that you spoke about fit a while ago because that is so important. Because
Mm-hmm.
some of us put on a nice panty because it look good, and then we spend the whole day after fix it, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, comfortable, and
Mm-hmm.
every step you
Mm-hmm.
take, move, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, fit is very important. All
Very
right,
important.
I'm just watching the time, and we're
Mm-hmm.
halfway through this, and we just reached two things from a list. We might need
All
to do
right.
a vagina part two. But I just want to pause right here to say big ups to Curves, and thank you
Yeah.
very much for your support because we spoke just about tampons just now, but so somebody talk about panty shields. I was just about to get to that. Panty shields and pads, the same rule applies. The length of time that you wear it really make a difference because a lot of us, some people wear pads and panty shields and don't remove it because it's not soiled. Don't worry about what you're not seeing because just because it doesn't look dirty is a whole heap of bacteria there. Because remember that we're working with sweat, urine, and if you're on a period, we're working with the blood. So that's a nice environment for bacteria to throw a party. I like
To
to call it
thrive. Willie bounce like Willie
bacteria bash.
inside there. Throw a whole
Well, there you
party
go.
in
Willy
there.
bounce and all kind of things by your panty line.
Mm-hmm. Backflip,
So
boomflip, everything.
exactly. So you just want to ensure that you don't wear it too long. So you have on a panty shield, bring extra. So when you stop to use the bathroom, you change the panty shield too. So you
Yes.
don't just wear it the entire day and then you're there having a bacteria dance in your panty. Okay?
Yes.
So that is
Yes.
something that I just wanted to point out. All right. So I'm going to come to one of my favorite topics to talk about, tightness. Now there's a
Okay.
whole industry, a whole heap of people promising to sell women products that's going to make their vagina feel like before they were born. So maybe somebody sing one song where say it tied like a 14-year-old. I found that song to be very disturbing because I don't know how he was able to make that comparison, but we're not going to get into that. So
That's very disturbing.
whole issue of
Very.
tightness. It is my belief that the vagina is amazing all on her own. A healthy vagina does what she needs to do. She contracts and she expands. And when you want to do your sexy time, the vagina is there to do all of the sexy things for you. But there are some of us who have some unrealistic expectation because we hear the word needle eye.
I'm
What are
sorry.
your
I'm still stuck on the song.
huh?
All right. Okay, good. I had to expunge just now. Like, that really just messed with my headspace. All right, continue. Mm-hmm.
So let us talk about this whole idea of having an extremely tight vagina. So there's this idea that the tighter it is, the better it is. Tell me, just generally, how does the vagina respond and how do we ensure that we get the best out of it, especially for the ones who want to enjoy it sexually and keep the tightness that we also find so important?
Well, the first things first, I think that the issue or the worry about tightness is a lot deeper than the actual vagina itself. I think that
Right.
it's a matter of self-acceptance, and fully just accepting yourself for who you are and who you're created as, right? In terms of tightness, really and truly, leave her alone. Y'all stress her. Some people just stress her out. Leave
Yeah, man.
her alone. I mean, there are some natural things you can do in terms of exercises. If you truly, and it's not about, for some people, I shouldn't say what is important or what isn't important. However, in terms of the tightness of the vagina, the importance of it in terms of a medical standpoint is so that it prevents something called vaginal or uterine prolapse. The older you get, it's actually possible for your vagina to come through. So
Yes.
this hair can actually all come through the vagina and come out if it's not strengthened, right? So in terms of strengthening that aspect of the vagina or the reproductive system, there's a few things you can do, predominantly exercise. So there's two main exercises that I know of, and I'm pretty sure there's a third one, but maybe it'll come to me as I speak. The first one are Kegel exercises, in which
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, very good. In which you basically constrict your pelvic floor and you just tighten. You just use your muscles. That's how you would strengthen the muscles in your arm. You can also strengthen the muscles in the vagina and around the vagina. And a lot of people don't know this. Squats actually help with strengthening the vagina as well. And as I was saying before, it's very important that you understand that strengthening the vagina is a lot more than sexual experience. It's also to prevent everything from falling through when you get older. Yeah.
Also, I want to make a point that there are some men who just don't understand the human body, the female body, and some women too. And I want to make something very clear. A dry vagina is not a tight vagina. It's just a dry one. And there are some men who, because they're not used to taking the time to arouse their partner so that she becomes adequately moist, he tries to force himself inside of a dry vagina. Now that will give him the illusion that, oh man, she's so tight, I have to squeeze my way in. But if she's properly lubricated, then he won't have to squeeze and fight so hard to get in. So there's a difference between being dry and being tight, because the biology is designed a specific way for a reason. The reason why we get moist before penetration is just because it feels better. We're not hurting ourselves and our partner, and the whole experience is actually supposed to be one of pleasure, not where you're fighting your way in and I'm squirming because it hurts. So we must be able to have a clearer, more open conversation with our partners so that they understand exactly how our body works, so that they don't have these expectations where they say, oh well, just because you're wet today, you're properly moisturized, you feel loose instead of being tight.
I actually thought that was something that was definitely understood, but perhaps people don't understand that. So that is a very important point. Moisture is important, and also the vagina is elastic. The whole purpose. So stepping aside, because the use of vagina is not just sex. That's just one of the uses, and not the only.
Yeah, one of the uses.
For the vagina is about. But the vagina is made for several things: to help flush the uterus, to also help for childbirth, and the muscles. Like when you look at the actual vagina, you see all these things called fenestrations there. They actually stretch. The vagina can stretch, and it's made to actually stretch. And with moisture, it stretches more appropriately for childbirth. As for example, like, have you seen a big head baby? You think it's just that same vagina? No, it stretches, and that's the point of the vagina. That's the purpose. One of the purposes of the vagina as well. So knowing how it works is really important, and understanding that the vagina is not a penis. It's a completely different organ, right? And it's a lot more complex than the penis.
She's complicated.
Yeah, she's unique.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So we talked about odor and smell. Smell and odor is the same thing. And discharge. I want to talk a little bit about the sexual experience. Now, when you have an orgasm,
we talk about the sexual experience. Okay.
For those of us who enjoy orgasms, the vaginal walls, they pulsate. Okay. Now there are a lot of persons who they don't understand that it's not one smooth thing. Show this something again. You see all of those little ridges and things like that, and all of that, all of those ridges. They form a part of the stimulus. So when a penis inside of it, that is why, it causes all of that friction and excitement and stimulation. So that is a part of the whole sexual experience. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about where these ridges are concerned is, I get this question all the time, and I thought it would be fitting to talk about it here, is when your period is finished. So you have your period, and your period ends today, Tuesday. And then Friday, you're going to use the bathroom and you see some remnants of period still coming out. And you say, but my period finished. And my answer is always, well, the vagina is not just one smooth thing. Like sometimes there's still blood in it, and that is why that discharge, that method of cleansing that the vagina does to cleanse itself, that's just what's happening. She's just getting rid of the excess period that was left in there, the old blood that was left in there, and that is why you see that discharge days later.
Thoughts on what exactly in terms of the cleanliness of the...
Am I correct or am I incorrect?
In terms of in terms of after your menstruation and the period, the chunk of the matter is over with. right? And afterwards, you see some trickling down, like that one day where there's nothing at all, and you say, "Oh, I'm safe. I won't pour anything," and then you put on your favorite underwear, and then you see some brown stuff in there, like,
yes, the brown stuff.
over with. Now, the uterus itself, how the period works is it's contracting. The uterus, this part, is contracting and shedding the inner lining of the uterus called the endometrium. So as it contracts, it comes through. And rightly, as you said, sometimes the blood gets trapped here and it comes down slowly, and the vagina is cleaning itself, so it'll come down slowly and but surely. But also sometimes you're still having some contraction of the endometrium, which is a lining of the uterus, still coming down. So there's nothing wrong with 1 to 2 days after your period still seeing a little bit of blood, known as spotting. So if you ever hear someone say, "Oh, I'm spotting," that is a form of spotting after your menstruation. But there's also other types of spotting, but we'll talk about that a whole nother video. But it's normal for you to have some brown blood coming down. Yeah, that's definitely normal.
Somebody just asked that question a while ago. What happened if your period blood looks black instead of red? It's probably not black, but it's still blood. It's maybe you have a clot, maybe it's just old, but as long as it's happening during your period or just after your period, you're fine. But if one day out of the clear blue sky you just buck up on something black coming out of your vagina, call the doctor.
Yeah. So if it's black, like block, then you know that something's not so right. However, when oxygen and blood come together, and when the blood breaks up, or called hemolyzes, it releases the stuff that was inside the blood cell, and it also darkens, so it can get dark brown, and that is completely normal. Right? So that's normal. Brown, dark brown, chocolate looking blood, that is normal. However, black, no, something's not right.
Call the doctor.
Oh, I see something here in terms of talking about what should be spoken about in schools and such.
Yes.
I think what's important is not just talking about sex, but I think that sex in itself is such a divine thing, and it's really misunderstood. And when something's not understood, it is not taken care of. And it's used inappropriately or used in a way that it wasn't meant to be used. So I think overall education in that region that it's so shunned is important for sure.
And I also think that it is important for parents to have regular conversations with their children about sex and about their body parts. We are completely comfortable talking about eyes and nose and fingers and toes, but when it gets down to talking about labia and clitoris and vagina and those body parts, we don't even want to say the words. And I think it is so important for us to arm them with the language so that they can describe. So instead of saying chun chun and keckle and chocho and toto and all of the other words that we use to avoid using the actual words, we shouldn't do that. We should actually teach them the correct words. So, and then it is beneficial for them too, because if there's somebody hurting them in some way, they will have the language to tell you what is happening. Instead of just feel that they are not supposed to talk about something. They're not supposed to say the words. It is somehow wrong. So I really want to change our attitude about that.
No, but that is something I'm so passionate about. I mean, obviously, you're not going to take a 7-year-old and go into the details of everything. However, it is very important to know your children, and even more important for parents, mothers, to talk to their little girls about their body parts without it being a shame or a secret. What happens is everything about it now becomes a secret, including any form of abuse or any questions, and then they seek assistance outside, and the person they may be asking may not be as genuine as you as a mother would be in describing these things to your children. So it's really important to talk about it and be comfortable in yourself and understand it yourself, and know that it's not something to be shunned, you know?
Okay, exactly. All right, so we're gonna take some questions for the last 10 minutes, let's say 5 minutes, because Instagram just love dash me off anything, no warning. So we'll put them with the time this time. Somebody asked, how often should you change your panty shield? I wouldn't wear a panty shield for more than 3 hours at a time. Keep the same 3-hour standard. Whenever you're going to be wearing menstrual products, whether it's panty shields, tampons, pads, work with the 3 hours. For some menstrual products, if it's a cotton product, it can maybe go 4 hours, but not all of them are cotton. Some of them are plastic. Those you want to get off of you as soon as you can. You do not want to have those on for extended periods of time, and that is regardless of how soiled they are. Because some people wear one pad even though it is not soiled for an extended period of time. Sometimes that's out of necessity. But what you can do is, if you have that problem and you just can't afford to change your pad so often, think about putting tissue on top of the pad and then changing the tissue. So at least you'll have a clean surface touching your nether regions for most of the days.
Okay. I see a question here. And I agree with you, but there's one thing I wanted to add. For me, it's really 3 to 6 hours in terms of changing your pad or your panty liner. 3 hours. It also depends on your flow. Obviously, if you have a very, very heavy flow, 3 hours. But it's not really 6. It's really 3 to 4, 3 to 5 hours, but no more than 6. Over 6 hours.
No more than 6 hours.
Absolutely
Correct.
Unreasonable. All right.
Yes.
So you don't need that kind of climb up a ladder. 3 is great. 5 is all right now. 6 is, look here, change to something and stop ramping.
Right away.
So that's essentially what.
Right away. Okay, somebody's asking about Sinks panties. All right. Everyday period, we actually have an episode that we're going to do just about products. So I will show you about it, and we're going to do all of the products. So we're going to talk about the reusable products and the disposable products. So I'm going to do panties, liners, panty shields, tampons, menstrual cup, everything, the entire gamut of menstrual products. So everyday period, tune in right here. Next week is menstrual hygiene day, so it won't be next week. Oh, by the way, make sure you're here for the period party next week. We're having a virtual period party next week. And we're going to be online for like 6 hours straight. And we're going to have a whole heap of different things going on, so you definitely don't want to miss that. But we're going to do an episode dedicated to products, and I'm going to show you the products because I actually have them. So awesome. We're going to definitely talk about that. Somebody asked, what do you think about sleeping without underwear? Talk about that.
Well, I see a question that was way above that.
No, answer the question. Go ahead. Answer the answer.
The speak on side effects of periods, what's normal and what's a cause for concern. Girls grow up on the notion that severe pain is normal. And that is so funny that you say that, because at 3 p.m. today, we'll be talking about period pains on my YouTube channel, Bingo It's Kimbo. It'll be posted on my page as well. Every Wednesday, we talk about side effects of periods or anything reproductive, and we have a whole bunch of videos on that. I say we like it's not.
Make sure you follow Kim. Make her put up her information. Follow her. She's doing some amazing things. And follow her.
Endometriosis today. Period pains, because you're right. Excruciating pain is not normal.
We spoke about that on last episode of Everyday Periods. That's on the YouTube channel as well. Period TV. Yeah. So you can go on and check that. We spoke about that with Ramona. And we spoke about how your diet can affect your experience, your period experience, and all of that as well. Because it is a holistic experience. But I'm looking at the time. We're down to 2 minutes. So Kim, I'm gonna give you one of those minutes to tell us what you want us to know.
Okay, well, I guess we can talk about sleeping without underwear, because that was the last question that I saw, and I say definitely go for it from time to time if you're able and it is appropriate to do so. You're not sharing a room with your siblings or whatever else it may be. Yes, airing her is a great idea. Sometimes you can sleep without underwear or loose clothing, preferably, but nothing too tight, because sometimes she just really needs to reset. So I say go for it, but as long as it's appropriate, you know? Yeah. Do you have anything to say?
Well, trust me, it's a lot of questions coming in, and keep them coming, folks. Whatever you don't get to ask me here, send it to me at embraceherflow@gmail.com, and we're definitely going to be having a whole episode dedicated to just birth control. I saw a birth control question a while ago. We're going to be talking about birth control, so make sure you tune into Everyday Period every single week, because we're going to be talking about the different types of birth control, how they work, so you can definitely see which one will work for you and which one you want to try out. But right now, I just want to say a big thank you to Kim. Thank you for joining us. And trust me, this is not the only time you're going to see her. She's definitely going to be coming back, because we've got some other things to discuss. So I want to
So
say
many
big
good
ups
sisters.
to Kim, and thank you so much. And follow her, people. Bingo, it's Kimbo. She has some awesome videos on YouTube, and she's doing a lot of great things of reproductive health.
Shelly.
So definitely keep track of what Kim is going on with. In the meantime, stay tuned, log on, stay here, share, tell your friends. We're definitely going to be having another awesome episode of Everyday Period every Thursday right here at 11 o'clock. And remember, next week is our virtual period party for Menstrual Hygiene Day. And we're going to be having a host of things going on. And we're going to be doing a actual period workshop. So bring your daughter and come to the period workshop. And if you're interested in that, you can DM me here or send me an email at embracerflow.com, because we're going to be doing a whole thing on Menstrual Hygiene Day, which is next week, Thursday. So thank you for everybody who tuned in, and big ups to our sponsors once more, Curves. And remember, follow Kim, Bingo, it's Kimbo, and just have a good weekend. And remember to take care of your vagina, because she takes care of you all the time.
All the time. All day, every day.
And as I get out of here, I just want to remind you that we exist because of periods. So let's celebrate them, right? Period is natural. Later, guys.
Bye, everyone. Have
Bye,
a great week.
Kim.
Bye, Shelly.